feeling, just put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? Tell me what you're trying to do. 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe, so clear. Put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe, so clear. Look out. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. That's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you. It's a beautiful night, we're looking for something dumb to do. Hey baby, I think I wanna marry you. Is it the look in your eyes, or is it this dancing juice? Who cares baby, I think I wanna marry you. Well I know this little chapel on the boulevard we can go. As if we're trash, got a pocket full of cash we can blow. Shots of Patrol, and it's on, girl. Don't say no, 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 no. Just say yeah, 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 yeah. And we'll go, 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 go. If you're ready, like I'm ready. 'Cause it's a beautiful night. We're looking for something dumb to do. Hey, baby, I think I wanna marry you. Is it the look in your eyes, or is it this dancing juice? Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you. Oh, I'll go get a ring, let the choir bells sing like ooh. So what you wanna do? Let's just run, girl. If we wake up and you wanna break up, that's cool. No, I won't blame you. It was fun, girl. Don't say no, 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 no. Just say yeah, 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 yeah. And we'll go, 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 go. If you're ready, like I'm ready. 'Cause it's a beautiful night. We're looking for something dumb to do. Hey, baby, I think I wanna marry you. Is it the look in your eyes, or is it this dancing juice? Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you. Just say I do. Tell me right now, baby. Tell me right now, baby. Baby, just say I do. Tell me right now, baby. Tell me right now, baby. Baby, oh, it's a beautiful night. We're looking for something dumb to do. Hey, baby, I think I wanna marry you. Is it the look in your eyes, or is it this dancing juice? Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you. I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes. Listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key. Next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone there was never, never an honest word. And that was when I ruled the world. It was the wicked and wild wind blew down the doors to let me in.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. Super excited to be cooking with all of you. Welcome to today's cooking class. So we're going to make a very exciting dish. We're going to make some beautiful poached salmon, which is going to be incredibly delicious. So I know some of you, this might be your first time cooking along with us. So if it is, welcome. Okay, my name is Chef Tyler, one of the chefs here at Truffle Shuffle. And we are the platform that hosts all the cooking classes and cooking content with ButcherBox. Okay, so this is where you're going to learn how to cook like a professional from the comfort of your own home. So with that being said, super quick little background on myself and how we're going to go about this class. So before starting Truffle Shuffle, I worked in restaurants the vast majority of my life. I've been cooking for all of my career ever since I was 14, washed dishes for many years, grew up in the state of Maine, cooked my way through New York City. And I was a sous chef at a 3 Michelin star restaurant called the French Laundry in Napa Valley for about 5 years. And that's where that I learned and saw like, hey, if you apply a specific way to teaching people how to cook in the kitchen, you can take people who might not even necessarily know how to cook super well and teach them how to cook at the highest level possible. So excited to be able to apply some of that cooking knowledge to what we're going to be doing today. So with that, we're going to dive straight into this class over here. And before we go into it, we got a couple best practices. Okay, number one is you do want to make sure that you have a delicious beverage. Okay, so you're gonna certainly work up a thirst as we're cooking. So make sure you got something delicious. And then secondly, do make sure that you go ahead and find that comment bar. Okay, we're streaming this on a couple different platforms. You might be watching this on the ButcherBox YouTube. You might be watching this on the Truffle Shuffle YouTube. You might be watching this on the Truffle Shuffle Instagram Live. So wherever you are at, what I would love to do is start off, just hit it up in the comments. Let me know where you are cooking from. Okay, so where are you cooking at over here? All right. Where are you guys at? All right. And as we have people dropping in the comments, I'm going to have the team kick on some music over here. So let's cue up some music. Let's see where everyone's at. Look at this. We got Pam and Pat in Carmel, California. Look at that. Incredible. They were just in Vegas. I was literally just kicking it with them in Vegas not too long ago. We got BY Kristen K in New Mexico. We got Chef Wendy in Dallas. Look at this. We got Catherine, San Diego as well. We got Judy in Northern Utah. We got Angie in suburban Chicago with an exclamation point. We got Sim Martin, South Florida. We got Little Chef Grayson here. What's up, Grayson? How's it going, bud? Nice. Awesome. We got people cooking from all over. Amazing. So look at that. Yeah, Marcy in Saratoga. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we are going to get into our recipe. Okay. And if you don't have a copy of the recipe up while you're doing this class, I highly suggest you do so. Okay. So I'm going to have the team drop the link in the comments to go ahead and grab that recipe. Okay. If you don't have it up. And if you do have the recipe up, if you have a printed version, like personally, I love having a little printed version. I'm going to go straight down the recipe from top to bottom. Okay. So the way we do recipes at Truffle Shuffle is we have a section that we consider to be our mise en place, right? Which some of you might have heard that word before. Mise en place means everything in its place. And it's a really important word in the kitchen because if you don't have everything in place, that is often where the different stresses or frustrations or misorganizations or overcooking or undercooking happens, is just not having your mise en place together, right? So if you take a second, get all the pots and pans and stuff you need to cook with, right? And then get all your ingredients out and organized, right? And then you do all of your knife work and then you start cooking, you will be vastly more successful than if you literally just start cooking and then, you know, you're like trying to chop the parsley while you're sauteing the garlic and the garlic burns and, you know, that type of thing. So mise en place, really important. So I'm going to go over our mise en place, I'm going to go over our ingredients, and then I'm literally just going to cook all the way through the steps. So, oh, look at this. We got Shireen coming from Orlando, Florida. Love it. So I'm over here in Vegas. I probably should have explained that. I'm out here in Vegas, baby. So I'm going to go over our mise en place and then our ingredients. Then we're going to start cooking. Today, the highlight is to make a beautiful, very, very simple springtime dish. Okay. We're going to be highlighting some of the beautiful ingredients from one of the nicest seasons. Okay. And because today's March, like the beginning of March, it's cool. We're kind of at the very end of some of our winter fruits and vegetables. So oranges, you know, citrus season, fennel too, like root vegetables, and carrots in the wintertime are still like super, super sweet. So the first week of March is always that kind of carryover season, but then you also start seeing like the asparagus, right? Some of this other stuff that lets us know about what's to come. So it's always a very exciting time of the year, in my opinion. And today we're really going to focus on a very easy, but very not super well understood technique for home cooks, which is poaching. Okay. Which I would love if you could hit it up in the comments and just let me know how many times you have poached fish in your life. Okay. Hit it up in the comments. If the number is 0, perfect. If the number is 0.0 or negative, okay, hit that up too. But hit it up in the comments. Okay. Because like I said, I think a lot of people don't know about poaching fish, and inadvertently, because they don't poach it often or didn't learn how to do it, they think it's difficult, right? And nothing could be further from the truth. Poaching is probably one of the most, if not the easiest, or most simple cooking techniques for fish, right? And it's like, it's almost not foolproof, but you can really nail the fish internal temperature where it's nice, juicy, right? It's not dry, and it's perfectly cooked at the same time. Okay, and we'll explain some nuances of that too. We got Chef Wendy. I don't even know what poach means. Yeah, that's an excellent question. So poaching, right, is a temperature range in liquid. Okay, or you can do it not necessarily in liquid, but you can do it in fat as well, which, yeah, Pam and Pat over here, we did some fish poached in olive oil back in the day too, which is an unbelievably delicious cooking technique. But basically poaching temperature is between 175 and around 195 degrees Fahrenheit, right? And what that gives us is a very gentle cooking temperature, right, that we'll be able to cook our fish in. Okay, so the way I like to explain it is when we poach, right, it's like, let's say the stop sign. If we're like coming up to a stop sign, the stop sign's like the perfect internal temperature. If we're coming up to that stop sign and we're driving 75 miles an hour and trying to stop at that stop sign, it's going to be like a very like abrupt stop. And there's a very short window of time to stop right where we need to, right? That's the equivalent of sauteing fish, right? We're cooking at high heat. We're putting the fish in the pan. It's really hot. It's really fast. 5 seconds to 10 seconds can be the difference between perfectly cooked and overcooked, right? But if you're going up at the stop sign and you're driving, let's say 15 miles an hour, right? It's going to be super easy to stop directly where you want to and be perfectly cooked. Okay. That's what poaching is, because we're cooking at such a low temperature. Like you could accidentally leave the fish in the poaching liquid for 30 seconds and nothing, it would still be perfectly cooked. Like I promise you. So if you've ever tried cooking your fish, and this is why I wanted to highlight salmon, because we're using the beautiful ButcherBox salmon over here. You could be using farm raised or the wild caught stuff. I'm using wild caught. I've heard a lot of comments from people like, hey, the wild caught stuff's really hard to cook. A lot of times I cook it and it's overcooked. This is the perfect technique to use for something like a wild caught salmon that's so lean, right? And it's going to allow us to cook it perfectly. So that's just a little background on this class. But let's get started. So first things first, on our mise en place and ingredients, we will need a cutting board. Okay, so I'm going to show you my kitchen setup over here. I got my beautiful cutting board. Okay. Over here, I got my cutting board. All right. I also keep a little wet kitchen towel folded up on my station that you'll see I'm going to use to kind of wipe down my kitchen section throughout the class. I got a beautiful knife over here too. And we've got some pots and pans as well. Okay. We partner with Heston over here. So we love working with them. So I got a nice saute pan that I have a lid for. Okay. I also have a really nice little pot. Okay. Which what I want you to do is I want you to grab a pot, ideally something that is not super, super wide. Okay. And let me show you kind of the size that we're looking for. All right. So basically I've got my two fish fillets over here. Okay. And these are from the tail pieces. Okay. So they're a little bit longer, but as you can see, my fish will be able to fit in this pot. No problem. Okay. You don't want a pot that's smaller than your fish fillet. Okay. And let's say that you don't have any pots that are really that good of a size. You can make all of the poaching liquid in a saute pan if you need to. Okay. So these are my pots over here and my pans. I've also got a little sheet tray that I've lined with parchment paper. Okay. So make sure to grab that as well. So besides that, I have this little item over here. This is called a fish spatula. Okay. This is a super versatile tool in your kitchen. If you don't have one, you should totally get one. If you don't have one, you could use any other spatula, right? The difference is fish spatulas are flexible, okay? And so this is going to help us really get in there, get our fish in and out. Okay, that's that. I've got this guy over here. This is called a microplane. You could use a zest or two, or just a small whole side of a cheese grater. And then I got a little wooden spoon as well, okay? So go ahead, grab those items. Okay. Next up, I have my fish. Okay. So my fish over here, I've removed it from my packaging. This is completely thawed out, by the way. Okay. So if any of you still have your fish in the freezer, the step one is make sure you do not freak out, right? Just take one moment, put your fish into a bowl and run some cold water over it. Even if it's completely frozen right now, I promise you by the time we're ready to cook the fish, it's going to be thawed out. Okay. So over here, I've got my fish. Okay. And I've removed it from the packaging. And I just like to dry off my fish with a little paper towel. Okay. Just to knock off any of that excess moisture from it. All right. And again, I'm using this beautiful wild sockeye salmon, which is one of my favorites. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to leave the fish on a plate, right? At room temperature, literally just on the counter behind me. Okay. So remove your fish from the packaging. Get it nice and dry with paper towels and leave it on a plate on the countertop. Okay, this is called tempering. It is impossible to cook meat properly if you don't temper it. What tempering means is, hey, we're going to knock the chill off a little bit. So we're not just taking the fish directly from the refrigerator and putting it into the hot poaching liquid, because the inside is still going to be ice cold, right? Because we're going to temper this for, the next 30 minutes or so. When it goes into our hot poaching liquid, it's going to cook much more evenly. Okay, so that's a good rule of thumb. Any protein that you cook, you must temper it, right? In order to cook it properly and perfectly. So that's all our mise en place, okay? Next up, our ingredients. We'll go over these ones super quick. I got a little orange, an onion. We got some asparagus, or asperge as we call it in French. We got a little fennel, okay? A carrot. We got some celery. I also have got some parsley and cilantro over here, some beautiful herbaceousness. All right. We got some olive oil, a little bit of honey, some lemons. Okay. We've got a little bit of white wine over here too. If you don't have white wine, it's not the end of the world. Okay. But it is a great item to have. I got a little bay leaf. Excuse me. Bay leaf and some garlic. Okay. And we have some Captain Seafood seasoning, okay, which if you do not have yours yet, we're going to drop the link in the chat over here. If you are a member of ButcherBox, make sure you add all of the seasonings to your next box, okay? And if you are not a member of ButcherBox, hit up Amazon, okay? We got the link in the comments right here because we're selling it on Amazon, okay? And then we also got some olive oil over here that we will need as well. So that's all our mise en place and ingredients, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead, preheat my oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And then once you have all those items together, okay, all your mise en place, all your ingredients, oven preheated, beverages locked and loaded, okay, I'm going to want you to hit a thumbs up into the comments, okay, and we're going to kick up a little bit of music over here to make sure everyone is ready to go, and then we're going to start cooking, okay? Yes, chef. I'm excited. Let's do this. Let's go. Beautiful. All right. Awesome. We got some people ready over here. Perfect. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. The first thing we're going to do, go to our prep during our class section. Okay. Oven is preheated. Check. Salmon is tempering. Check. Okay. Now we're going straight into making our, we call it our court bouillon, right? In French, which basically translates to short stock, which means a stock that we don't cook for hours and hours. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab your celery, your carrot, and your onion, okay, also known as mirepoix. And the first thing I want you to do is just rinse off your carrot and your celery. All right. Get that dirt off of them. So what I want you all to do is go ahead and we're going to start getting our mise en place together. So first things first, with our onion, I'm going to come over here to my board. So I got my onion. I'm just literally going to come over here and I'm going to trim the bottom. We're going to come over to my cutting board. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to trim the bottom of my onion. All right. Trim the top. And then I'm going to split this guy in half, okay? Notice that I'm using one nice big onion. Basically, we're going to use half of our onion for our poaching liquid, our court bouillon, right? And the other half we're going to use for our Fennel Compote. So come over here, peel back your onion, okay? Those onion peels that you have left over, if you want to save those for making some beautiful stock, you can totally do that. All right, that is actually the move that we do in the professional kitchen all the time. Save all these little trimmings. Okay, so I got my onions peeled. Okay, so I'm going to take one half of my onion, and I'm just going to dice it. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and go across. 1, 2. Turn it 90 degrees, and then just come across. And I'm trying to cut about 1-inch pieces. Okay, it does not have to be perfect at all. But the idea is we're dicing about 1-inch pieces, okay, of our vegetables. All right, boom. So there's our onion. Next up is my celery. All right, I'm just going to trim my ends. Again, save those trimmings. And again, just cut this into about 1-inch pieces, okay? Beautiful. Nice. So I got my onion in there. I got my celery in there. I'm going to take my carrot too. Okay. Just peel this guy. And then we're just going to cut the carrot into little rounds. Okay. And so as we're doing this, do not worry. I know I'm going to be slightly ahead of you all. That is by design, because throughout the class, I'm going to pause, check in with all of you, and make sure everyone is caught up. Okay. So I'm going to come over here, curl my fingers in. Okay. And I'm just going to cut my little rounds of carrot. Okay. Let's come all the way down. Make sure you snack on a couple pieces. Beautiful. So in my pot, I've got onion, celery, carrot. Okay. Classically in French, we call this mirepoix, right? Which this is going to give our poaching liquid a ton of flavor. Okay. When it comes to poaching, right? Poaching is a technique, not necessarily a recipe. Okay. So today we're making a very simple stock. In the future, you can poach with literally any liquid, right? You can poach in chicken stock. You could poach in, we would literally like make an emulsion of butter that we call beurre monté, and we would poach fish in that. We would poach fish in shellfish stock, lobster stock. You can poach in any medium, right? But the concept is the same, is liquid at a specific temperature, okay? So I got all these guys in here. I know some of you might still be finishing up those knife cuts, but I'm going to move into getting my court bouillon started. Okay. So we are now going into step 4, which we're going to add our other elements to my pot. Okay. So I'm going to start with my white wine. Okay. So I got 1 cup of white wine going in here. You can use any kind of white wine. I like using a nice acidic white wine like a Sauvignon Blanc, but whatever you have will work perfect. Okay. So a little bit of white wine. We're going to pop our bay leaf in here. Okay. We are also going to go ahead and add our Captain Seafood seasoning, which we want about 2 tablespoons. Okay. Which personally, I just want to come over here and using the inside of my hand. That's about 1. This is about 2. And this is a good amount of seasoning, but that's exactly what we want. We want a nice flavorful liquid. Okay. Yeah, great question. If you don't have the wine, just go ahead and omit it. Yep. We're just going to replace that quantity with water. So you're just going to add another cup of water. So what I want to do is I want to add some water to this. In the recipe, we say 1.5 cups. To be honest, I want to fill up. I want to make sure there's at least 2 inches of water on top of my vegetables. Okay. Because that's going to be enough liquid to make sure our fish fillets are completely submerged. Okay. So again, come over here, get this filled up with water till it's at least 2 inches above your vegetables. And I'm using cold water. Beautiful. So as you can see over here, look at that beautiful mixture. Okay, so I'm going to bring this to a boil. Okay. Bring this to a boil over high heat. All right. Oh, awesome. Look at this website right now debating my next order. Keep checking back to the stream. Love it. Can this technique be used for cod? 100%. This is an incredible technique for cod because cod is so lean, right? It has so little fat that it really benefits from a wet cooking technique, which means the fish is cooked in liquid, right? Because it helps keep its juiciness. So I got this on the stove. I'm going to bring this to a boil. Once it's at a boil, I'm going to turn it down to a nice simmer, like medium low heat. Okay. We're going to simmer it for about 10 minutes. And then I'm basically going to turn this to the lowest heat possible. Okay. And you'll see the steps there, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So at this point, I've got my poaching liquid on the stove coming up to a boil. Hit it up in the comments. Let me know when you are there with me. Okay. You can hit it up in the chat. Say yes, chef. Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. All right, perfect. So what we're going to do next is we're going to get into our next steps. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do some knife work. Okay, a lot of people, when we do these classes, they rate knife skills as one of those things they want to learn the best. The only way to learn knife skills is to just cut a lot of things, right? And really, when people say they want to learn knife skills, what they really mean is they want to learn to be more confident with their knife. Okay. So the only way to do it is to practice. Okay. So we'll start with our onion. So again, we're in step 7 in our prep during our class section. Court bouillon is cooking. Now we're going to start our other knife work. So over here on my cutting board, I've got the other half of that onion. All right. Right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting it. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to, again, curl my fingers in. All right. And me personally, I like keeping my index finger on the spine of my knife, which is the non-sharp side. Okay. Some people hold their knife really tight like this, but I like it like this, right? So this is like my process over here. Okay. So what I want to do is julienne this onion. What julienne means is julienne is thin strips. Okay. So with the rainbow side of the onion facing me, I'm going to curl my fingers in and making really thin strips, right, of onion. Okay. So come over here and we're just going to julienne this entire half of the onion. Okay. So all right, cutting. What's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where there's not a ton of onion left to hang on to, right? Like you can see that's where I'm at. When you get to there, all you do, push the onion forward, right? It's got a flatter base and just come through here and finish your julienne. All right. So just like that. Done. Okay. So I've got my onion julienne. I want to go ahead and transfer the onion julienne onto a little plate. Okay. Again, this is mise en place. This is getting everything in place. This is getting yourself organized So that way later when we go to cook this, we're just putting everything from this plate into the hot pan at the same time. We're not like struggling or scrambling or whatever. So you'll see as I teach you in this class, we're going to do our mise en place. We're going to do our knife work, stage our mise en place onto little plates or bowls. And then our cooking is literally just a seamless process. Okay. So cut your onions into thin little strips, your julienne. Okay. And then I'm also going to cut my fennel. Okay. So I know some of you are still on the onion, so keep doing your thing. All right. And with our fennel, all right, I want to go ahead, give it a quick rinse, and I'm just going to trim the tops off of my fennel, right? These tops make delicious vegetable stock, okay? And to be completely honest, if you have a couple of those tops right there like that, if you don't, it's not a problem. But if you have a couple, just chop up a little bit, maybe like half cup to a quarter cup, and pop them into this court bouillon. That little fennel like anisey flavor is going to give a really nice flavor to our court bouillon. Not 100% required, but might as well, you know. So I'm just going to give this fennel a quick rinse. Beautiful. And sometimes the outer layer or 2 layers of the fennel is like really fibrous, okay? But I'm going to split this fennel in half across the root and then just remove any fibery layer, right? Really papery layer. And again, make sure you're saving all these vegetable trimmings, right? They are delicious to make vegetable stock with in the future. So I've got my fennel trimmed. So I want to do the same thing with my julienne. The only thing is I want to remove the core of the fennel, which this is super easy. I'm just going to cut a little V, right, on either side of that core, right, and just remove it. It's not bad. It's just kind of tough, okay, when it cooks. Right? So you see that? Just a little V cut. Oh. Then we're going to come over here and julienne this. Okay? But my court bouillon is coming up to a boil, okay? So give your court bouillon a little stir and then turn it down to a simmer, okay? Again, we only want to simmer it for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to turn it to the lowest heat possible, okay? But just let it cook, okay? Let it do its thing, infuse its flavors. So yeah, Maria, absolutely. Even if you can't cut the same way as mine, just do it as best as you can. Okay, I promise it'll still be delicious. So we're gonna come over here, julienne this fennel. If you haven't cooked with fennel before, it's a beautiful vegetable, right? Wasn't super well known in the US, I feel like, until not a very long time ago. But ton of flavor, great in salads too. You can eat it raw. Really sweet, good in soups as well. And fennel seeds, which come from the fennel plant, are absolutely delicious too. So we're coming in here, cutting my fennel into my julienne. Beautiful. And then just like with our onions, okay, we're just going to pop these guys onto a little plate. Okay, so I know this might look like a lot, but you'll see. We're going to start cooking this up, and it's going to cook down into a lot less than what this is now. So We got our julienne, fennel, and onion over here. Looking absolutely stunning. Okay, look at that. Boom. So once these are done, just set them off to the side. All right. We're going to go into our next project, which is just to cut some thin slices of our orange. Okay. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I know I'm not able to see all of you out there, but if you get hit it up in the comments, let me know when you are ready to go into the next step. Hit it up in the comments. You can say ready.
Oh, I leave quite an impression. 5 feet to be exact. You're wondering why I have his clothes when missing my body's where they're at. Now I'm gone, but you're still laying next to me. 1 degree of separation.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we got a bunch of people ready to go. I'm moving to the next one. Even if you're finishing up your knife work, keep doing it, okay? But I'm gonna go slowly into the next one. So I'm gonna peel my orange, okay? You can peel it however you normally like to. Beautiful. And this is just, we're just going to cut some thin slices of orange, which is going to be like a little salad to go on top of our fish, okay? Fennel and orange absolutely love each other in terms of a flavor combination. It's like one of the most classic flavor combinations out there. So delicious. So you can break your orange up into little segments. All right, you can take off some of that little pith on the outside. Make sure you grab yourself some little snacks. And for this recipe, we only need about 4 segments worth of orange of slices. So that leaves me about another half of orange for something that's super important in cooking, which is called snack attack. Okay, this is very, very important, and it's not highlighted enough, right? Chefs don't talk about it enough. No joke, in a professional kitchen, snacking is a very serious part of the job, and you always got to make sure you're snacking while you're cooking, okay? So taste your product. These are super good oranges that I got over here. Wow. You got to try one of these, Ryan. To be completely honest, in cooking, your most important asset is your palate, right? And the only way to develop your palate is to taste, right? So that's what I mean by snacking is important, okay? So come over here. We're just going to cut these into thin little slices, okay? So don't think too far into it. Literally just line up a couple segments of your orange, cut them into slices, okay? Beautiful. And this is just going to give us a nice little presentation that we can lay on top of our salmon. All right, beautiful. So we got some slices. I'm going to transfer those guys onto a little plate, right? Boom. Thomas, great question. Yeah. Chef, I'd never throw food over my shoulder. Okay, step 1. But 2, I absolutely eat the fennel core. Yeah, it's one of my favorite snacks. So lay your oranges out on the plate, and then I want you to go ahead and dress your oranges, okay? You might think this sounds a little bit weird, but what we're doing is we're like getting a quick marination going on our oranges. Let's come over here. A little drizzle of olive oil. All right. Little sprinkle of salt, right? Just a teeny bit. And then take a little spoon, toss them together, okay? And again, I'm teaching you techniques the way we do them in like a professional restaurant. So a lot of this stuff you might not have done at home. That's okay. Okay, you might be like, yo, Tyler, I've never seasoned oranges with olive oil and salt. Well, taste a piece of orange by itself, okay? Right? And then come over here and taste one of those oranges that you just seasoned. Wow. Tastes pretty good, huh? So whenever we put fruits, right, or vegetables raw on a plate, a lot of times we will dress them, right? Little olive oil, little salt, usually a little bit of acid too, some lemon juice or something, but obviously oranges have plenty of that. So leave this off to the side, let them marinate. Beautiful. And then we'll go into the next step. All right. So I'm going to give my little court bouillon a taste, and I encourage you to do so as well. Again, we're not necessarily looking for like something to taste like this delicious soup, okay? But I do want you to get in the habit of tasting as you're cooking. So my court bouillon is cooked for about 10 minutes, starting to taste delicious. I'm going to keep this on my back burner in the back, and I'm going to put this on the lowest heat possible, okay? And my goal over here is that I'm able to keep this where it's not simmering, right? There's no bubbles coming out, but there's still steam coming off the top of the court bouillon, okay? So keep that on the back off to the side. Yeah, Cassie, totally, right? It's a pretty cool when you try like seasoned fruits. A very simple salad to make that's really delicious is take some really nice citrus, orange, grapefruit, right? Season it with olive oil, salt, lemon juice. That with avocado and arugula is like unreal. So I'm going to start going into our next step, okay, which is to get our Fennel Compote cooking, okay? So we're going to come over here and I'm going to grab my large saute pan, okay? I'm going to get it on my stove. And I'm going to heat this up over medium heat, okay? So one thing that I want to call out is, again, when I'm teaching you in this class, I'm going to teach you about technique and like the how, right? The why, not necessarily focusing so much on the what. And what I mean by that is, for me, my saute pan on medium heat is what I'm going to need, okay? All of our saute pans are slightly different sizes, most likely, different thicknesses. Our stoves are different speeds and different powers. So more so, as we're cooking, I want you to pay attention to what I'm looking for in my pan. And for you, if you need to turn the heat up or turn the heat down a little bit in the recipe, I fully encourage you to do so, okay? So I'm going medium heat, okay? We're going to go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of olive oil into our pan. And by a couple tablespoons, I mean like we're going to be pretty generous with the bottom of our pan, okay? Get it nicely coated in olive oil. All right. And I want to heat up this oil until it starts shimmering, okay? That means it's nice and hot and it's preheated, okay? So how do we know if our oil is hot enough? If we're using olive oil, we'll always be able to smell it first, right? Olive oil is a very aromatic oil. When we cook with all of our senses, right? We're looking, right? What does the oil look like? As it heats up, it starts to move a little bit more like water, right? It also starts to get shinier as it heats up, right? Our sense of smell, lean in, smell it. The olive oil will start giving off that fruity aroma, okay? So once your oil starts looking nice and shiny and shimmering, then we're going to come over here and we're going to add our fennel and our onions into our pan, okay? And we want a little bit of sizzle, but we're not looking to caramelize the vegetables, okay? So pop them in. All right. Give them a little stir, or you can give them a toss. And so what I want to do is cook my fennel, my onions down until they're super, super soft, okay? So, but I don't want to caramelize them, okay? Meaning I don't want them to brown, okay? So how do we make sure or do our best job possible to make sure that the product doesn't brown? Number one, we take a spoon and we stir, right? If we're stirring it up, it probably won't brown up as much, all right? Constantly moving it around. If you get a little bit of brown, it's not the end of the world. We just don't want that super pronounced, like caramelized flavor. And then number two, the next thing I want to do is I actually want to add a pinch of salt, okay? So come over here, and we're just going to sprinkle a little pinch of salt in there, okay? Beautiful. What the salt is going to do is the salt is going to draw the moisture out of the fennel and the onion, and it's going to allow the vegetables to stew a little bit, okay? Beautiful. So I've got mine seasoned and I've got mine cooking, okay? And while they're cooking, this gives me the perfect amount of time to get my garlic sliced and pop it into the pan, okay? So I always like using garlic in the skin, all right? It's always fresher like that, tastes better, all the above. So come over here, peel the skin off the garlic. All right. And then just trim the little root end off. If you have any little brown spots on your garlic too, trim those off. And then we're just looking for thin slice, okay? So I'm going to leave my, tip of my knife on the cutting board, slice it up nice and thin. Boom. And then go ahead and pop that in our pan as well. Okay. So we've got our garlic, our onions, our fennel, all in this pan. Okay. And we're going to continue cooking this over about medium heat for another, it's probably going to take around 10 minutes or so. And it's going to soften up, right? And look absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so stir that garlic in. Again, kind of move the vegetables around. Beautiful. Nice. So as these guys are cooking over here, okay, this gives me the perfect opportunity to get my asparagus over here rinsed off and clean, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead, rinse off my asparagus. Beautiful. So, if you've ever seen the way asparagus grows in the fields, it's literally just little stalks that shoot up out of the ground. They harvest it below where you want to actually eat the asparagus, right? The bottom part is really woody. So if you just bend your asparagus, naturally it's going to snap, okay? And the bottom part where it snaps, right? This part is the woody part that is not delicious. The top part is the nice tender part, which is delicious, okay? So come through here. You can snap your asparagus. Okay, I've got the super, super, super young stuff over here. And again, it all depends on the asparagus itself, where it snaps, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and snap all my asparagus. Beautiful. And make sure to keep an eye on your little fennel and onion. Excuse me. Keep them moving around, okay? One trick that you can do if you start to see your fennel and onion caramelizing, like mine is over here a little bit, is I'm actually going to add like a tablespoon or two of water just to keep cooking, but that way it doesn't keep caramelizing. Okay. So you feel free to pop a little water in there, and we'll just keep cooking it over this nice medium heat to give us this really nice soft vegetables. So I'm going to continue snapping my asparagus. All right. And cooking my fennel and onion mixture. Oh. So as we're continuing to cook along over here, excuse me, I want you to hit it up in the comments over here. How is your kitchen smelling at this point? Okay. Smelling delicious. All right. How are things looking over there? Oh man, yeah, Cassie over there is good. Susan's kitchen smelling amazing. Nice. Yeah, nice. Definitely great smelling kitchens all over there. Perfect. All right. So I've got my asparagus trimmed. Okay. My fennel and onion is still cooking. And just to show you how mine looks, mine's starting to soften up, right? And it's starting to look a whole lot more. It's crazy how far it cooks down, right? We had so much fennel and onion before, and it's cooked down quite a lot. Okay. So I want to keep cooking this. Again, if you're starting to get a little bit of caramelization on there and your pan is totally dry, feel free to add a little bit more water. It's totally okay. But my asparagus is clean. This guy's cooking. And just put eyes on your poaching liquid. Okay. I'm going to show you what mine looks like. Mine over here, it's not simmering, but there's steam coming off of the water. Okay. So you want to keep it at that temperature. We got a great question in the chat from Susan. Do you save asparagus stems for the veg stock bowl? That's a fantastic question. Honestly, asparagus stems are not great for vegetable stock, just because they add like a super vegetal flavor if you were to make vegetable stock with it. So I don't add them. But all these other things like the fennel, the carrot peels, the onion peels, and you can also do the move too where you can pop this bowl into a Ziploc bag, pop it in your freezer, and basically any time you produce vegetable trimmings, put them in the bag. And once the bag is full, pop it in a pot, fill it up with water, cook it for an hour. Boom, vegetable stock. In the best kitchens, almost nothing goes to waste, right? That's how good chefs are. They can make something delicious out of all parts of the animal, the vegetable, you name it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to season up my asparagus, get it ready for roasting. We're not going to put it in the oven yet, but basically we're going to have everything in place where all we got to do next is cook this fish, and then we'll be eating here pretty shortly. So if you're following our recipe, all right, we're on step 4 in our how to cook section. We have washed and trimmed the asparagus. Now we're going to pop it in a bowl, a little drizzle of olive oil and salt, and then we're going to lay it out onto a tray with parchment paper. Okay. So you can do either or. Toss it in a bowl. Personally, sometimes I just like doing this stuff in pans. But come over here. Healthy drizzle of oil. A little pinch of salt. All right. Toss it up. If you are a chef and you have a very strong desire for the little things to be nice, have all your asparagus facing in the same direction. Okay. If you don't have that desire, you don't need to. But when I put this on the plate, I'm going to want my asparagus going in the same direction. So I'm going to lay it on my tray where it's all going in the same direction. Okay. So lay your asparagus onto your tray and then do your best to lay it into one layer. All right. Boom. Just like that. So we're not putting our asparagus in the oven yet. We're just leaving it on the counter. But one thing I will call out is everyone's asparagus is going to be a little bit different. Asparagus is one of those things where, yeah, we're going to cook it in a hot oven, which again, our oven is preheated, 425 Fahrenheit. So we're going to cook it in a really hot oven. It's going to take about 5 to maybe up to 10 minutes, depending on your asparagus. I have the super thin pencil asparagus, so mine's going to be done really quick. If you have the thicker asparagus, it's going to take a little bit longer. But I'll remind us as we're cooking it to check in on it, okay? So give your fennel a quick stir. I'm going to set my asparagus off to the side. So at this point, my mise en place is like perfect, right? All of my items are ready to go. But the thing that determines when we're going to actually serve the dish is when we start poaching the fish, okay? So I want to go ahead and check out my fennel mixture, all right? So come over here, grab a little spoon, and just give a little taste. Okay, we're looking for this to be nice and soft. And what happens is as we cook the onions and the fennel, it brings out all the sweetness that are naturally in those vegetables. So you'll see it'll be really nice and have a really beautiful sweetness to it. So give it a taste. All of my vegetables are nice and translucent and soft. Okay, you might get a little bit of bite from like the core of the fennel, but for the most part, mine's exactly where I want it. Nice and soft, sweet, very, very lightly seasoned, right? We're going to adjust the seasoning a little bit later. So give yours a taste, hit it up in the chat. If you're there with me, if your fennel and onion is soft and tasting delicious, let me know in the chat, please. So, oh man, yeah, Cassie's looking good. Excellent. Almost there, no problem. Yep. Yeah, blue white crispy Katie, perfect. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to, before we start poaching the salmon, right, I want to get my fennel and my onion mixture pretty much to where I want it. So I'm going to start to add my vinegar and my honey. Okay, this technique is called a gastrique, which is equal parts vinegar and honey, very classical way to make sauces in French. So we're going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of honey, 2 tablespoons of champagne vinegar. Okay. And if you want, we can give ourselves a little measurement. All right, let's come in here. 1, 2. All right. And then we got a nice, make sure you give yourself a nice big tablespoon of honey. Okay. For that much vinegar. Okay. So pop it in there. All right. Stir that together. And we're going to cook that mixture down to cook out the vinegar, the harsh vinegar, and almost kind of glaze our vegetables. Okay. So if you've been on like medium low heat recently, you can turn the heat up to about medium. And basically I want to cook this until the pan looks really nice and dry and it starts being kind of looking almost kind of sticky, right? That's exactly what I'm looking for over here. Okay. So this is going to give us a nice little kind of sweet and sour flavor. In our finished dish. This is going to be incredible. So it's only going to take a couple minutes to get to that stage. right? Mm. And again, it's almost like making a quick little jam that we're doing over here. Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh, man. This is all starting to come together now. And this little compote, it makes a lot for this recipe, so you probably won't use all of it today, but roast up a little pork chop, put it on top of this, fennel and onion, serve it with some apples, unreal. Chicken as well is really good with this. So, very versatile. So, I'm going to come in here, give my compote a little taste test. Wow. It's perfect. It's got exactly the little sweet and sour note that I want. Okay. So what I'm going to do is turn the heat off. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of lemon zest. Okay. So come over here and just hit it with some lemon zest. Make sure you add the lemon zest when the heat is off, though. Right? So I'm going to use the zest of this lemon. Right? Again, fennel and citrus are like the best of friends. So it's going to add a nice little flavor. And then what I like to do too, I know we added the vinegar, right? Which is our acid, but we cooked out the vinegar, right? So it changes the flavor when you cook the acid. I want to add just literally like 2 or 3 drops of fresh lemon juice, and it's just going to lift up the flavor of this compote. Okay, so stir that all together, give it another taste, and then adjust the seasoning. If it needs more salt, add a little bit more salt. If you want a little bit more lemon, add a little bit more lemon. And then you can adjust too. If you like yours a little sweeter, you can add a little bit more honey to it. But this is it's going to be great with our fish. Mine needs a little more salt. Beautiful. And then I'm going to go ahead, let that guy hang out off the heat. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to set my Fennel Compote to the back. And I'm going to leave the heat off of my Fennel Compote. And then that way we can just reheat it real quick right before we serve it. Yeah, Susan, great question. So honestly, when you take classes with Truffle Shuffle, a lot of times you'll notice we don't always talk about seasoning being salt and pepper. That's honestly, the background is our training is when you cook in high-end restaurants, you learn salt is a seasoning, means it makes the food taste better. Pepper is a flavoring, means it changes the flavor. And we don't necessarily want the flavor of pepper in every single layer in the dish we're going to eat. You can totally add pepper if you want to. Please feel free. From my perspective, we have our Captain Seafood seasoning in our poaching liquid, which has some of that really nice pepper flavoring in it. So I'm just going to have that be the only pepper element in my dish. But if you want to add some pepper, you totally can. Okay. Yeah. And that goes for all of these too. If you want to add pepper at any level to your asparagus, whichever, feel free to go ahead and do it. So once you have your fennel cooked, like mine was, and you've adjusted the seasoning, all right, hit it up in the chat. How is your Fennel Compote tasting? All right, let everyone else know. Oh man, look at Cass feedback. It's a really good, and again, super, super simple, right? Like this well. I mean, it took a while to cook, but it's very easy. Yeah, who else? Any other? How is your product tasting? Yeah. Beautiful. So, yeah, there you go, Andy. Right. Oh yeah, never had fennel before. Awesome. Love it. That's the taste. Yeah. Okay. Well, all of our elements are right here. Let's cook some fish. Let's roast some asparagus. Let's get eating. So, over here, my poaching liquid, my court bouillon. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to try to mess everyone up with all these French terms. But we got our poaching liquid over here. So going to my stove. My liquid, again, the steam is coming off the top, but it is not bubbling. Okay. So steam's coming off the top, right? It's not bubbling. For me, that's just still on the lowest heat possible. So that's exactly where I want it. Okay. So I'm going to grab my fish. All right. And we've got plenty of Captain Seafood seasoning in our poaching liquid, so I'm not going to necessarily add any more to my fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and lay my fish in skin side down. Okay. Just like that. All right. Boom. There's one fillet. And there's a second fillet. Okay. So pop those guys in. All right. And it all depends on the thickness of your fillet, but it's going to take about 7 to 10 minutes. Okay. And again, this is why I love poaching, because it's a super gentle mode of cooking, and it allows us to cook a piece of fish for a longer period of time, okay, to give us that really nice velvety texture. So what I like to do is just from time to time, okay, just gently move the court bouillon around with your spoon, okay, and we're just going to keep cooking it, okay. Because again, you know that I'm teaching you technique, right? Not just to follow a recipe. So what are we looking for? Again, I don't see any physical bubbles coming up, okay? But I do see steam coming off. That means I'm at a solid temperature. Any of you out there who have temperature gauges, okay? Again, I said poaching is in between 175 and 195. So if I were to attempt this, which we can do it. So mine is just on the low end of that. Mine's around 170 right now because I just added my fish. As this continues to cook, that temperature is going to go up a little bit. Okay. But again, you don't necessarily need a thermometer for this. As long as there's steam coming off the top and it's not physically bubbling up, it's going to poach perfectly. Okay. So, oh, good questions. Our salmon is pretty thick, not covered. Should we add more water? Yes. Yeah. But very good question. Instead of just going and adding water straight from the tap into your pot, what I want you to do, Chefs Pam and Pat, is take a pot off to the side of water, bring it to a boil, and then add that water into this pot. So that way you're not decreasing the temperature of this poaching liquid too much. Okay. So yeah, just heat the water up onto the side, and then just add enough of that hot water in until you're covered. Yeah. But you don't necessarily need to be covered by a ton of water, or a ton of liquid. Like as you can see on my end, my salmon is just barely covered. So again, from time to time, we're just going to kind of move the liquid around to make sure it's staying nice and hot. Excuse me. And go from there. So Susan, to do it faster, could you microwave the water? You could. The easier thing might be to just heat up the water in a pan as opposed to a pot. But basically the idea is make sure any water you put into this pot to cover the fish is at least a simmering temperature. Yeah. So the couple things that I want us to notice from this is we're going to get a really beautiful, silky, smooth texture from this extended period of cooking time at this low temperature. And with the fish skin itself, I'm actually going to remove the skin before we eat it. And I'm going to show you how we can take the fish skin off after we poach it. It's going to be perfect. One thing I do like to call out is when you're poaching fish like this, when you have the skin on, it makes it easier to take it out of the pot because the skin kind of helps keep it together. If there isn't skin, it's still easy enough, but you just need to be much more gentle as you take it out of the pot, okay? So as this guy is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and pop my asparagus into my oven so I can get it going over here. So go ahead, pop your asparagus in. All right. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start with a 5-minute timer. Okay. Because mine are the super thin pencil asparagus. But I'd encourage all of you, we're going to start with a 5-minute timer. After 5 minutes, we'll take a peek. All right. If it needs a little bit more, we can add a little bit more. Okay. So what I like to do at this point in the cooking of my salmon is I like to add a little bit of lemon juice, okay? What does the lemon juice do? Lemon juice has a bunch of acid in it, right? Obviously. Acid helps coagulate protein, okay? So we have wine in here already, which wine has acid in it as well. But I like adding a little bit more, okay? So I'm gonna take about half of a lemon's worth. And I'm just going to add the juice of about half of a lemon into my poaching liquid. Okay. Beautiful. So, how do we know when the fish is done? All right. Basically, if you want, you could use a probe thermometer, okay? Which if you are, the fish is done when it's around 145 Fahrenheit. If you don't have a probe thermometer, you can use your good old-fashioned fingers, okay? Which honestly is how I was taught to cook, is how I teach to cook, okay? So when I can press very lightly and feel the layers of the salmon separating, I know in the thickest part of the salmon, I know that I'm cooked, okay? So mine's really, really close. Like if you can see, I'm going to show you up close and break mine a little bit. So you don't have to break it, but watch this. Like if I push down, I see those two sections separate right there, right? I can feel that I'm cooked, okay? The other thing you can do is you can take a little fork, okay? Or if you have a little cake tester and literally just kind of press that into the fish, right? Just a little fork into the fish. When you don't feel any more resistance, that means it's cooked, okay? So my pieces at this point are cooked and looking absolutely beautiful All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove my salmon and just place my salmon onto a little plate. Okay. We're not going to put them on our plates that we're going to eat on excuse me, just yet. And I'll show you why, because I'm going to use this one to remove the skin. Okay. So go ahead. And if you have really thick fillets of salmon, like over at Pam and Pat's house, you guys probably are not quite there yet. Okay. And another thing I want to call out is this is where the different species of salmon as well. I'm cooking wild caught, which is a very low amount of fat. Fat is insulation, right? Fat always means longer cooking times. Leaner means less cooking time, okay? So I'm cooking really lean wild salmon, so this is already done. So I'm gonna remove my salmon and I'm gonna lay it skin side up on my plate, okay? Boom. So as I'm wrapping this up, I'm just gonna gently warm my Fennel Compote on nice low heat. Okay. And my asparagus is in the oven, ready to come out momentarily. Okay. So check out that fish over there. Look at how beautiful that is, right? Looking gorgeous. Nice and steaming hot. Okay. So I've got it out. It's just resting for a little bit, and then I'm going to peel the skin off. Okay. And I'm just going to check my asparagus to see how that looks. Which a good way to check if your asparagus is done is literally to eat a piece. Okay. Mine needs 2 more minutes. All right. Starting to get bright green though, which is what I want. So with your asparagus, you want it al dente, which it's got a little chew to it, but it's not super crunchy. Beautiful. So at this point, I'm warming up my Fennel Compote. My salmon is out. My asparagus needs 1 more minute. I'm just going to check in with all of you, see where you're at, and then we're going to plate this up. Okay, so hit it in the chat. Let me know once you have your salmon out. Say ready to plate.
Talking in my sleep at night, making myself crazy. Out of my mind, out of my mind. Wrote it down and read it out, hoping it would save me. Too many times, my love, he makes it feel like
Yeah, nice. Salmon is out. Perfect. Yeah, Rob's got a great question. Can you overcook a protein poaching it? Yeah, 100% you can. Honestly, simply just the fact that our poaching liquid was, around 170, 175, right? So theoretically, if we left that in there for however long it would take, it would get up to 175, which would definitely be overcooked. Yeah. So you can, but again, your window is bigger because our cooking temperature is lower. If that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I think you guys are going to be very excited for the results over here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my asparagus out. I'm going to plate it up. Okay. So once your asparagus is out, you can turn the oven off. So I'm going to peel back my fish skin. Is this required? No. Okay. But it's pretty cool technique. All right. So you can literally take the side of a fork, This is more difficult on the wild caught stuff just because the skin is so much thinner. On the farm raised, it's much easier, okay? But literally just take the side of your fork, all right, and just scrape against the skin, starting on one of the cut edges, all right? Right? And then once you get enough of it, you can literally just peel it back, okay? Boom. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. Perfectly cooked fish underneath, okay? And again, you can totally leave the fish skin on if you want. We would always peel the skin after we poached it in the restaurant because it's a very like elegant way to serve it, you know? And again, the beauty of the skin is like protecting the fish underneath it. So it keeps that really nice texture. Okay. So again, come over here, peel that skin back. Beautiful. Just like that. Right? Amazing. So what I like to do with my salmon is I like to get a nice sprinkle of our Captain Seafood seasoning on top. All right. Hit it with a little bit of olive oil. Rub that in. Beautiful. And then we're going to plate this up. So grab your plate. All right. We're going to lay down some asparagus. And, you know, remember, people always eat with their eyes first. So it's really nice when you can plate something and it looks beautiful as well, right? So I'm going to lay my asparagus down. Okay. I like laying it where all the spears are going in one direction. On this end of my asparagus, I'm just going to lay a nice little dollop of that Fennel Compote. Okay. Boom. Look at that. Over the top, we're going to put that perfectly poached piece of fish. Right? And then on top of this is where we're going to start hitting this up with our little orange segments. And then that, last but not least, that parsley and cilantro that we have from our recipe, right? Grab some of those leaves and just kind of lay a bunch of parsley and cilantro leaves right on top, like a little salad, right? Right on top of the orange. Boom. And then last but not least, one final little drizzle of olive oil around. We can put a tiny little dash of little Captain Seafood seasoning over here too. Boom. And check that out. Look at that. Absolutely perfectly poached salmon with some beautiful roasted asparagus, Fennel Compote, little orange and fresh herb salad on top. Okay. So what I want you all to do is plate it up as beautiful as possible, okay? And then before you devour this, because you probably want to dive into it pretty quickly, please, please, please take a picture. Make sure you tag us, okay? On social media. We're going to drop the handles in the chat over here, okay? So make sure you tag us over there. Let us know how proud you are of it, okay? Make sure you can show it off to all your friends and family. And once you have it plated, okay, and you're ready to dive in, I want you to show you, this is exactly what we're looking for, right? Let me show you. Perfectly poached fish, okay? Look at that. So, wow. Get a little taste test. Our fish, our fennel, little herb salad. Asparagus as well. So, I hope you enjoy this dish. I hope you enjoyed cooking with us. It's been an absolute pleasure cooking with you all today. So, with that, make sure that in the future, try poaching with all different kinds of fishes, all different kinds of poaching liquids, right? Really add it to your repertoire as a cool additional way to cook fish. Yeah, Thomas is asking, what was the sauce you applied to the salmon? Honestly, I just did a little olive oil, and I did a little bit of our Captain Seafood seasoning. That's it. If you don't have the Captain Seafood, you can use a little bit of salt or a little bit of your favorite seasoning blend, seafood seasoning blend. But yeah, so give it a taste test. Let us know how it tastes, okay? And with that, I'm going to go ahead, dive into the salmon. I'm going to bid you all adieu. Enjoy the rest of that dish. We'd love to cook with you again in the future. My next class is coming up in April. We're going to drop these classes on March 15th. Okay, so my next April class is going to be delicious. We're going to do roast pork chops, little braised kale action with some bacon, some roasted carrots. It's going to be absolutely delicious. So make sure that you join us for that one. Okay. Oh yeah. Do you do anything with the leftover liquid? Totally. You can strain that liquid and save it and use it to poach more fish in the future. It lasts for about a week in the fridge. Another thing you can do too is use that as the base for like a fish soup as well. Could be absolutely delicious. Yeah, for sure. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you all have an amazing night. Love to cook with you. Bye, everyone. Doing the happy dance. I love it.